Well, if you leave it alone, you make sure. You said you wanted to. And then I got to look and I'm like, oh, these are great positions. Well, I think one of them was about. I thought, yeah, I looked at your ability. Me too. Just like you just like about this information. I'll send you.
I was just like, I had signed up and everything. And it was like, you went for it.
So I don't know.
I don't know if there's 150 hours. Be a little cynical about it.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know.
Yeah, my temp is serious.
That's like the one sentence. Did you get? Yes. You have to read. My only one was getting that connection. Right. Yeah.
We nominated you.
And then you got that. I was getting off.
So I expect to see him tomorrow.
How was my birthday?
Now I'm
Which is really just. You can stand, you want to see the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. Board members and you too, Scrooge. See if we can get let's see, annual notice of the Fountain Home School District School Board meeting will be on January 21st. So this for the first board meeting in January. Elections and all that. Community schools, Mr. Johnson and committee.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thanks for your time tonight. It's kind of disappointing that he's not here, but Albert, who likes attention a lot, wanted me to let you know that it was his 50th birthday. So if you could possibly embarrass him at some point, that would be fantastic. Anyways, I just want to talk real quick about the community school grant. We talked a little bit last month. I'm going to give kind of a quick history, and then the people doing the real work will talk about it. But how we got here is kind of a crazy story of Bennett opened their daycare, little controversial. Then from there, other community school or community groups reached out and was like, hey, what about a pantry? And then at the same time, Desert Sage was looking for a pilot for their mental health school-based counseling. And so next thing you know, all these resources are in an alternative school, unheard of. So that's really cool. That's kind of how the whole community school thing started. And then from there, Bennett became, they received a grant. It was through United Way, Blue Cross of Idaho Foundation, I believe, to create a full-time community school coordinator. And then that next thing you know, United Way got I got to make sure I get this right. I think it's $46 million. Yeah, $46 million grant to expand community schools in rural places in Idaho. And it's through the Department of Ed. But because Bennett was an established community school, we were invited to join that. And the condition was one other school had to. And so threw it out to some people and there was interest. And instead of just getting one other school, we're the only district, I believe, originally we got 2 schools. So we expanded to West and Hacker, to where that allows us to have 3 full-time community school coordinators. And then there's a slide on it. I don't follow that stuff. They know this.
We'll follow it.
So it's a great opportunity that for them to expand it. And now we have those 3 full-time community school coordinators. It's a 5-year grant, roughly $1.2 million. And then there's a pipeline service component. We have not been able to utilize any of that because you have to submit an action plan. They've done that. It comes back. We revise. It comes back. The idea is that in January, we can start tapping into those funds, which is this year, $40,000 at each building to be able to provide different activity or programs, basically. And some of that's going to be after school for kids. We're looking at, never mind, I'm going to jump into your guys' stuff, but the programming is going to start. We haven't been able to do that. But what's happened with the coordinators being there, they've created these relationships to where we're providing services that aren't costing anything. It's just a partnership right now. And it's really cool stuff that's going on. Once again, I'll let them, they're killing me right now. I know that. So I just wanted to give a little bit of the history because we are totally a unicorn. The fact that this all started at an alternative school, I'm telling you, it does not happen. Versus when Bennett started, it was like, don't put those kids next to Hacker. And now it's kind of the hub, which is awesome. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. We talked last time. They're going to get into the details of like what's really going on. And I'm going to get out of the way. So Lonnie, Nikki, Tizar is obviously at the basketball game. Samantha Frazier is the coordinator at West. She has her daughter has a dance recital. And then we have Ashley and Liz, coordinator at Bennett, and Hacker. So I will turn that over to them. Thank you for your time.
So we're just gonna talk a little bit about where we've gone since we've gotten the grant. The first thing we had to do was we had to create a community advisory board. And so we each have a staff member, our community schools. I just lost what the titles were. Coordinator, thank you. An administrator, Jeff, and then we have some community members. We have someone from Desert Sage, someone from St. Luke's, the Chamber of Commerce. There's like 20 of us. There's like 20 of us on the list. And so we've met once, and we're gonna meet once a quarter to kind of go over what we're doing in the community and how we can grow some of those partnerships. We also had to do a needs assessment, and so we sent out a needs assessment to all 3 schools' parents, and these are some of the results. We weren't really sure, we haven't had a lot of guidance throughout this whole thing, and so it's been a lot of try to figure it out amongst us, and then we're like, oh, maybe we should have done that. So some of the questions that we asked, we didn't get super specific information that we needed, so we'll probably do another needs assessment at the beginning of next year. But as you can see, mental health is very high on the list. Family stress, we didn't really clarify what family stress is, and after you start talking about family stress, it could be a lot of different things. Childcare services, it was also high on there. Go ahead. Yep, you're good. And then, could you use any of the following? After-school programs obviously was very high. At West, we have been providing some after-school programs, but they're academic-based. And usually the students are invited to attend because it's to help with reading and math in the areas of reading and math. So we do a lot of before and after-school programs. And so we talked about that. Some extra out-of-school activities was high on the list. An updated playground, thank you. We got that. We're happy about that. So those were kind of some of the things that we were looking at trying to help in when we were doing our action plans.
So with that, this is just kind of a listing of what we across the schools have in place and things that we have in the works. There's also some things that we look at and think, hey, maybe we can look at that in the future. It was pretty eye-opening, I think, for all of the schools when we had to start truly identifying what we do and went, wow, there's actually a lot of things in place. You can see the before and after school activities. We do have those at West and Hacker. Bennett is somewhere in the middle ground, I think, right now, playing some games there. The childcare piece that we mentioned at Bennett, dental services, we're getting Delta Dental here in the spring, and I'm not gonna go through those. You are intelligent people, you don't need to read. We can say all that, but then to actually quantify what it is, we broke down what it means so far this year between our 3 schools as far as what has already been done. The food pantry out of Bennett has distributed over 900 food boxes so far this year. We have 415 students between the 3 schools that are participating in before and after school activities. And just for the record, when you look at the number of students across our 3 populations, that's about a third, kind of some context there. West had 334 eye screenings. We've sent out 300 weekend food backpacks for our kids that we know have food insecurity, just a little bit to get them through when they can't come to school and get breakfast and maybe lunch. 270 hours of school-based counseling, and that is through Desert Sage. It's the program Jeff was talking about, where we actually have Desert Sage counselors come into Bennett and Hacker throughout the week and meet with schools on campus, and that alleviates a lot of that struggle of when do we get them there, how do we get them there? We don't want to miss in school. It really minimizes that time out of school. Just shy of 270 hours of before and after school activities, 154 dental screenings, 16 family engagement activities. We have 14 district employees utilizing childcare. And again, when we look at a chart and say we do all these things, that's really great. But I think when we actually put some numbers to it, you see the really positive impact that we are having already in our schools prior to them actually giving us any money. With that, those only happen through these really great partnerships, and there are more partners in this, but these are some of the key ones. And I would say our coordinators have done an excellent job of reaching out and starting to build stronger relationships with these entities as well as new entities. And as time goes on, I have no doubt that we're going to run out of room on this slide as we all come together to help our kids. Things that we have in progress when they finally give us money. We want to expand those before and after school activities. Hacker is in the midst of creating a community closet. We know that much like food insecurity, things are getting expensive, and sometimes clothing kids can be a struggle. So we have a space all prepped and ready and a plan of how to keep it stocked. Hope to open that in, I'm gonna say February, Liz? Great.
Yeah.
Liz says yes. Partnering with Health and Welfare for WIC mobile clinics, utilizing school because that's where families already come to. And including some adult education classes. This isn't just about our kids, but strengthening our families so that they can support our kids. And some of the ideas we have kicked around so far are English for Spanish speakers, financial literacy, and cooking classes. Yeah. That's kind of where we're at, the down and dirty of it. Do you have any questions for any of the question here?
So I've got a question. So with the dental, are we just doing like screenings or what exactly is that? I mean,
So we've actually partnered with Delta Dental the last couple of years, and they come in, and if they have a signed permission slip from parents, they will do a screening, they will do sealants. They will also do referrals for students, and so I think, did I say our bill was 33? It wasn't our bill. It was $33,000 worth of work that they did for our students, just this year. And so they were there for a little over a week, to do all those screenings.
now is that open to all the schools?
I don't know.
We do it at the junior high. too.
Yeah, we had it done at East last year too.
And the other question I had was on the food backpacks. Is that something you guys do only at West, Hacker, and Bennett, or is that, are those distributed out to the other schools in the district as well?
It is elementary level.
It's a K-6, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's at all the schools?
If you're signed up for it, yes.
And that's a partnership with Idaho State.
On that needs assessment, who was that sent to? Is that
Our parents.
parents? Okay. Is there a similar sort of needs assessment or survey done with kids at some point, or maybe some point to be done as far as identifying needs in their eyes?
I think we actually talked about that, as I recall. And some of the challenges it presents is we can't have a universal one because a junior at Bennett, obviously, can perhaps read a little bit better than a kindergartner there. So we did discuss it. I think we couldn't identify the quick and easy way to do it on the timeline that we had. But it is certainly something, I know for us, when we talk about activities that kids are interested, we have conversations with them, that they have ideas, we follow up on that and see if it's viable and if there's something to sponsor.
The other issue is the whole bill,
Yes, the
of,
new
like,
law.
do you have to get permission
Oh, yeah.
to survey a student on activities, and the time frame just wasn't allowing.
That makes sense, yeah. Awesome stuff.
Do you guys have parents also on your committees?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other question I have is, how do you guys get this information out to the broader audience?
I would consider that a work in progress right now.
Yeah, so we do have a Facebook page that we're trying to like share things from our Facebook pages to that Facebook page. It hasn't been great at this point. We share a lot on the West Facebook page about things that we're doing. And then I also put it on our Class Dojo, which goes out to all of our families. So it's kind of just through social media.
We will utilize School Messenger for some things. We do have a web page that we're working to build that will link into our school pages and the district page.
I was curious on your literacy for English and Spanish. Is there coordination through ESL to promote or enhance the programs to bring more understanding for our Spanish-speaking parents of the students within our school, that they have more of an understanding of what is going on in our schools and feel comfortable in coming in? I mean, is that brought in anywhere that program is enhanced? Because it's always an issue, you know? And I just was curious
So I'll take that real quick.
Good.
So we are with the
with ESL.
well, now it's just called EL,
EL.
for our students. That's part of the program that we currently have.
Right,
What that was targeting,
was the
we
speaking.
do the comprehensive needs assessment for the migrant program. And that's been the number one thing for 4 years, but we didn't have anybody to teach it. And so we're strictly focused on that. The EL program already does exactly what you're talking about. Here's the services, here's the person to contact. here's the resources that we're gonna provide, all that stuff. So that's already in place, but we're just trying to target those parents that we've never been able to, well, not never. 10 years ago, we had a program. She said she was done. And so now we finally have a new person who's willing to do it.
Mm.
And then now we can pay them, because before it was asking people to volunteer to teach English for Spanish speakers, and using these funds when we can, we could actually do that.
Great, yeah, great enhancement. I'm always curious about that because it's always something that just across the board, we've always kind of struggled with. Making
Absolutely.
those parents feel comfortable in coming into our schools or understanding truly what we're doing. So, thank you.
I got one question for you, Jeff. With this grant, so after the 5 years is up, can we reapply?
No.
Or is there, with expectations, we continue the programs for a certain period of time, or we just continue in perpetuity?
The ultimate goal is that's why they tier so this year, every school gets $40,000 for the pipeline services. Next year will be 30, 20. The ultimate goal is that after 5 years, you see the value or whatnot to create a sustainable program, I guess you would like to call it, or so. But no, there's no expectation that we will get additional funding.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Very good. All right, moving on to superintendent's report, Mr. Gilbert.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm gonna put this up on the screen here for you. Okay, so I'm just gonna briefly go through this. So this is an update on iStation data from the beginning of the year to December. So kind of first semester review of our literacy data that we have, since we're making that, a primary focus area. So I was gonna print some of these out today for you to have while you're here, but color copier is not working. So since I'm colorblind, that red probably is, I'll take its word that it's red. So, but the first set of slides here is just each grade level overall in the district. And so again, what we're looking for is movement into the green. So the higher the green, the better. And so, when we look at this data, what you're looking for is that positive trend upward. And, the kindergarten data looks good. A little step back in December, but that anomaly is not unexpected either. I think one of the things that when I talked with Jamie about this data was, this is a broad view. We've got a lot of kids that score in the yellow that are close to moving into the green, but they're not quite there. And kids that are in the red that are close to moving to the yellow. And so that's really what we're looking at. It's not just all green, but how are our kids progressing through there? So that's kindergarten. First grade again, you see that positive trend line headed that way. Second grade, there's a little less trend there, but still I look at September, October, and November as positive signs of that moving forward. Third grade, kind of that same gradual upslope. Again, in fourth grade there, you see a positive trend again moving forward. Fifth grade, got some stepping going, but it's an upward step. And it's sixth grade there. So that just from a really broad look, think of a kid who's down in the dark green as being somebody that's, above grade level. The goal is to keep them there. and to progress the other kids in the other shades of green down through that as well. So that's kind of overall iStation data that we have. There's a couple other charts that we can look at here. This one's kind of interesting. This is Hacker's data mapped out against state average. I think that this one to me is a very positive visual of this when you see that, you know, Hacker right now is outperforming state average, with where this data is showing us. You know, and you've got to really look at those. 1% is a big deal when you're at the average there. I think I had one more.
If you hit the pin, it'll make that thing disappear.
Thank you. And then this is that same kind of view with east, north, Stevenson, and west, again, comparable to the state average. And, you know, there's positive trend there. Obviously, we want to make sure we're working to move those along. And I feel very confident that the schools are going to close, the schools that aren't quite at the state average, I'm confident they'll close that gap. But I also think, again, it's pretty important to look at, and I'm going to take North as an example. When you look at these kids that are in level 3 and 4 here, you know, this is where we want to be, is 3, 4, and 5. And so some of that trend is going to be slower developing as we implement some curricular changes in those buildings that may have not been using that same curricular system with fidelity. And so, you know, it'll be interesting to take this data right here and look at it at the end of the year and see where that trending went with it. But that's the update on the literacy data, so very positive overall. So I'll try to answer some questions if you have them. Okay. Okay, and then one other thing I did want to mention is today Levi and I did officially submit the PSMI design phase grant after much length. We met with our point of contact last week. We had been kind of pushed to the back as they went through some of these school districts that were ahead of us in the process. And so we finalized last week what we needed and uploaded the remaining documents today and hit submit. So what our contact said, most likely how this works is the director for PSMI is out until the end of the month. And so once he gets the packet, then there's a couple of days of review in there, and then we'll receive the award letter for that. Fairly confident we have everything we need in there, as David, who's our project manager from PSMI, assisted with and reviewed a lot of what we had submitted or had in our submission prior to it going in. And then their plan is to have OLDCC come out. It'll either be, I think, the 3rd, 4th, 5th of February or the following Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So then they come and do a site visit. And one of the requirements with that is that they have to visit a site that is similar to what we are going to build. So our architect was here today and he's going to arrange that. And I believe the Valley View or Caldwell district for that site visit. That's what I have.
Great. So, James, with that, how far away from actually breaking ground?
That is a great question. So I think, Trustee Binion, one of the things that's gonna come up with this is the base lease itself. That process is gonna dictate when we can go into the construction phase. So we'll have to do a completely separate submittal for the construction phase, but you can't submit the construction phase grant until we have the the lease from the base. And I know that they're trying to fast track that through, so optimistically, you know, within the next couple of months, we have that, then we go through and submit the construction phase portion of this. Talking with the architect today, the likelihood of us getting this out to bid by spring is pretty limited. So I think realistically, the early discussion had been to have this facility open by 26. I think realistically, it's more like 27. And part of that is just the delay in everything. So our 20% match is dependent on the congressional earmark, and as you may have followed, we still don't have a congressional budget for next year. So that process will also slow this down.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. All right, Board of Trustees Public Engagement Report. Does anybody have anything to report?
So I had dinner last week on Wednesday with Isaiah Gross and his family. His father Eric Gross is a teacher out at high school. He was our Voice of Democracy winner for the post here locally. He placed second in our district. Also, Ella Gonzalez was there with her family. She's over at the high school, sophomore. She won for the post, placed second. And Christopher Waller was there as our teacher of the year for the post. And he has won a district at this point. So he is competing for state level. We'll find out in January.
Great.
So that's all I got.
Okay, anybody else? Public input, I don't think we have any. If we get a motion to approve the agenda,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda, unless somebody wants something pulled out for discussion, if we get a motion to approve what was presented in our packet,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No delegation, no business, no new business, and motion to go into executive session,
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sharon, can you do a roll call vote?
Trustee Knox.
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Damon.
Aye.
Trustee Donovan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye. Be it so resolved that the Board of Trustees of the School District 193 recess from an open meeting to the following executive sessions pursuant to Idaho Code Title 74, Chapter 2, Section 74-202, 34C6A, open meeting, regular meeting, executive session, Section 74-2043, open meeting, executive session, 74-206, 1B, to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of a public school employee, Idaho Code. Be it further resolved that following executive session, the Board of Trustees will convene into public session for further business or adjournment of the meeting. We are in executive session.